Welcome to 21st Century Learning, exploring the intersection of education and technology. This is episode number 2.10, and you're listening to the EdTech Talk channel of the World Bridges Network. Today is June 18th, 2014. 2014. I'm Alex Ragone.
I'm Arvin Grover.
And I'm Vinny Vrotny.
14.
14 it is.
Happy summer, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Another year in the books.
Yes. So, what's on the what's the news for the summer? Anybody? Vinny, you have big news for the summer.
Vinny's got the biggest news for the summer.
Yeah, I do. As of August 1st, I'll be wrapping up. July 31st, I'll be wrapping up here at Quest, and over the course of the spring, a wonderful opportunity emerged to become the Director of Technology down at the Kincaid School in Houston, Texas. So on Friday, August 1st, I'll be jumping in the car and heading on down to that adventure. And then I think my first admin team meeting is on Tuesday the 5th. So it's going to be no rest for the weary.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Vinny.
Well, thank you.
So excited.
Yeah, they're on a much different calendar, Alex. They start school August 20th.
Wow.
Yeah, so new faculty meetings start on the 7th. Then it's faculty meetings beginning the next week. I mean, it's like 3.5 days of new faculty meetings, and then another week of faculty meetings, and it's going to be crazy.
What city is it in again?
It's in Houston.
Houston. Okay. Wow. Super excited. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks.
And then we'll get to figure out, we get to talk to you about all that transition stuff in the fall.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping to be able to carve some time out.
We were just saying, we're like getting to 10 shows is a big deal for us over the last week.
Yeah.
With all
Absolutely.
Especially with all of us having changed just roles, so many roles in the past few years.
Right.
And yet another one coming up for Vinny.
Yep. But it's all good.
It is. It is. It's fantastic.
So what do you got planned, Alex?
We're going to Boston for a few days next week, and then my kids are all going to be at camp for a whole week in August. So we'll be without children for a full week, which is going to be exciting. I gotta convince Tara to actually not work that week and go away. So we're working on that, and it's just it's summertime, lots of swimming and good beach time. So looking forward to that. And then I'm going to try to get through as many books as possible as well. Arvin?
Well, I barely feel like summer has begun because all the meetings, like Alex was just saying, that are going on, it's a busy start to the summer. I'm getting ready to I've been talking on this show for a year about scheduling change. Everything's approved and greenlit. Now I actually have to make a schedule that works, which is
nice.
For everybody else, the harder part was getting them to agree to make one. For me, it's actually making it work, which I'm most nervous about. So I'm going to work on that and then take my vacation and really rest knowing that it's all done. Although I'm doing my best to get as many World Cup games in as possible.
I have a similar task this summer, the scheduling piece. The first 2 weeks of July are my big thing, and we're meeting with our 7th grade parents right now to talk about the high school process, which so today was all morning, tomorrow is all day, and then next week is a couple, they're just long days of meetings.
It's intense how wild that is in New York City.
Yeah. So busy.
But anyway, just tell them all to come to Grace Church School and they won't have to worry about it.
We're working on that.
Yeah.
We made a couple recommendations this morning.
There we go.
I talked about my good friend over at Grace Church.
Yeah.
So, what are you guys reading?
Well, I'll go ahead and start. Every summer, I think this is year 4 or 5, as part of the ISTE Independent School Special Interest Group, which is being rebranded at this upcoming ISTE as the Independent School Educators Network. of which I'll be taking the leadership on that as well.
Yeah.
So just because I just have way too much time on my hands, anyways. But this year, our book selection is by Dana Boyd. It's her new book, which is called "It's Complicated," about the social life of teenagers, and it fits really well within a lot of the conversations and a focus on digital citizenship and what does that mean, especially as we go into the third or fourth iteration of the digital citizenship. So, what I like about it is it is available on both a paper version, Kindle version, and she does have it available for a free PDF download if you'd like to go that way. So that was one of the draws, as well as the content within the book.
Yeah, I noticed the free PDF. That's just an interesting. I can't remember ever seeing that really anywhere for most books.
Right. Every once in a while, you'd be able to snag like a Seth Godin book,
right.
For the first week on the free PDF. But she's made it available, and she's also going to be doing a webinar for us in early October as a wrap-up event.
Oh, great.
So, yeah.
We're reading that as a faculty this year.
Oh, good.
I've got that on my bookshelf. I started. Have you guys? Have you read that, Vinny or Arvin?
Yes.
I have not. It's in my queue.
Yeah, I'm just like it's just fun to go there. What did you think, Arvin? Was it worth it?
I'm such a nerd for this stuff, so I really enjoyed it. It was hard for me to figure out whether our faculty will enjoy it as much as I have.
Right.
But she's just so sensible, I think, about talking about teenagers' life. The title is absolutely perfect. It's 2 words I've been saying. It's complicated.
Yeah.
My entire career, because people, for whatever reason with technology, tend to just want to categorize its use very simply. Like, Facebook is bad, or kids are doing stuff with technology that's distracting. And I'm like, well, come on. They were just doing their homework 5 seconds ago, and now they're playing a game. So it's not that easy to describe technology use. So I love it that it's complicated. That really is the framework.
Yeah, as my oldest is now 13 and on Instagram and using technology all the time to do schoolwork, it gets much more complicated. I have much more empathy for parents.
Yes.
in creating those clear lines for kids because it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
So,
I have a friend of mine who always asks me for advice, and every time I give it to her, she just smiles at me and says, "I can't wait till you have kids."
But it goes back to the conversation we had with Catherine Steiner at Dare. It's complicated for adults.
Yes.
Right. And we're in the middle of enormous change, which is it's a busy time.
Yeah, but it's really funny. When the questions I get around it, are so, even the way people ask questions about kids' use of technology is so loaded. They'll say things like, "Don't you think an iPad is too much for a kid to handle?" And that question already is like, okay, I hear what you already believe, so are you really asking me for my opinion, or what are you asking me for? Just validation of your fear? So unraveling what people are asking that's the complicated part for me.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
For fun, I'm reading this one. Have you guys seen The Circle?
No.
It's Dave Eggers. Like a whole social network, kind of 20 years in the future thing. That was one of the books that came out on that nicest list.
Is he the one who wrote The Social Animal?
No, he is not. His main work is he does work with McSweeney's, and does a lot of fiction, and then does the writing groups with 826 Valencia.
Huh.
So far, interesting, some fun reading.
Oh, Social Animal is David Brooks.
Correct.
David Brooks is a Grace alum.
Yeah, Dave Eggers has written. He does edits the nonconformist reading anthology, which is actually some interesting things that come on out with that. And
that just sounds fun.
Yeah, it's it's a group of high school students who actually helped pick that volume. He also last year wrote a hologram for a king, which was about someone putting in telepresence systems in one of the Arab countries. I think maybe Saudi or Dubai or somewhere in the Middle East there.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What is the what is another one of his that I've heard of.
Yeah,
So,
Zayulatan about New Orleans.
Mhm.
He's written a lot of really good stuff. I like his work as a general rule.
so that's a fun one. I have some high school, some teen angst books, like just in terms of like developmentally appropriate practices for teens. But I don't. They're at home. I have them on my home bookshelf.
Is that so that your daughter will read them
For my
and
daughter,
develop teen angst?
We're just in terms of like looking at our being a K-8 and looking at the 7th and 8th grade as kind of capstone years, how to best kind of design or use our program to engage them productively.
Yeah.
So our upper school, this is our last growth point. So this year was our first double group of 8th graders who graduated, so they're 23. Next year we have 27. The year after that we have 32. So we're growing, and with growing numbers of adolescents, it shifts the dynamic in the school, and we're trying to, be a little bit of thinking ahead about how that's going to happen.
Yeah. One of the books that I'm taking a look at, it's being delivered today, is one that Jonathan Martin recommended, which is Leaders in Their Own Learning by Ron Berger.
Hmm.
And he was raving about that, and I don't know that we had Jonathan on a long time ago, or you all did.
Yeah.
And he comes up with some really great selections of books.
Yeah.
And because of the fact that he just gushed over this book, I mean, definitely put it into my queue.
I'm putting it in as we speak. Looks fun.
Wish lists.
Leaders in Their Own Learning, and the byline is Transforming Schools Through Student-Engaged Assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a prolific reader.
Oh my gosh. It's amazing.
I guess when you're no longer ahead of school and you've gone into a different world, you can read a few more books.
I think even as a head of school, he was serious.
That's true too. That's definitely true too.
It always surprises me when you list your books, Vinny. I say, like, how does he have time?
I know we don't have a lot of time left, Vinny. I wanted to ask you, just being that you're going to be working more in ISTE, if you've been sort of following the Ariel Norling blog post about her, experience being sexually assaulted at ISTE last year, and just kind of all the conversation that's been on the Twitter back channels about that.
I've been off social media, so I haven't seen the Twitter back channel.
Okay.
Secondly, yes, I have read her blog post, and what was really interesting is that I believe that I was at the first event that she was at, and I'm trying to rack my brain, but I actually left that event with two others, both women, and all three of us left that event just because there was this creepiness that kind of existed. I mean, we were all commenting that there was, in other organizations and other conferences and other professions that this type of behavior kind of emerged and had been brought to the fore, and that we all felt that the education side was the next to fall, and then a year later this all kind of breaks. And it's just really trying to rack my brain around who I was with at the time to have the follow-up conversations. So
right.
I mean, there was a spin-off conversation on the New York City Independent School Group about it, which I involved myself in, but there's sort of a subgroup of us who are interested in thinking about a code of conduct for our own small subgroup,
right.
nicest. But even, as part of the New York State Association of Independent Schools, I begin to ask that question: is what is our code of conduct? We have a lot of events. We have a lot of events where there are overnight conferences, where there are small
Yeah.
breakout groups. We have people are away from their own homes and their own safe spaces where
Yeah.
there's alcohol served. Like, how do you begin to create a safer place before something bad happens?
Right.
I don't mean to even sound ignorant. I'm sure bad things have happened in the past.
But,
People actually wrote to me in saying that as much, but
and again, not to dispel, and I know that you wrote, and I was reading, being on that listserv and reading the things that you wrote, which were very thoughtful. But there were a number of things that really, and not to diminish the experience that the young woman had, but there were several red flags that she wrote in there, in that she was going out and she was drinking, and that doesn't make what happened right and doesn't justify it, but her behavior contributed in some way and fashion, and as a father of an 18 and 22-year-old, I mean, that was some of what I was also reading on into it as well.
yeah,
That there were some things that could have been done to prevent being put into those situations.
yeah. The unfortunate
If
part
that makes
being,
any sense at all.
No, it does. It's the unfortunate part is the choices women have to make and the choices men have to make about what they are accessing are not the same.
Right.
And that's because of the power dynamics of the situation.
Yeah.
It's I kind of the thought of having just general kind of code of conducts in conference situations, though, is that really resonated with me, Arvind. I almost started a Google Doc and said, let's put it out there, or found.
Yeah, we're working on it.
I'm happy to be involved in that. I think
that's great.
everybody feel safe at events that we're part of, and I think that it does get very murky. It can get very murky very quickly when alcohol is involved, and you just want people to understand that there are clear boundaries that are.
But it's also the environment. I mean, there are folks that do nothing but run around to vendor party after vendor party after vendor party in looking for free refreshment.
Right.
And to me that's kind of crazy. I think that maybe it's because I've aged and I can't keep up any.
No, but there's just a reasonable, I don't know. I think that
But that's what a code of conduct is for me, to let people know that that's unacceptable behavior.
Oh, yeah, but you take a look at even some of the vendors had actually begun to step back, including Google, which used to have what seemed like a bacchanalian feast, has really seriously. I mean, it was just flowing, and anybody and their brother could get in. It was just absolutely nutty and crazy, and 2 years ago they started ratcheting back because it was not sustainable, and they were opening themselves up to potential negative situations occurring within that space, and so good for them.
It's important. Well, on that note,
yes,
may you all have safe and healthy summers.
Yeah, you too.
And safe travels, Vinny. And
yeah, thanks.
Look forward to seeing you on the other side, getting weather reports from Texas.
It'll be a very different winter discussion.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, it will. Only if you allow me to do this conversation in my Spurs.
Yes, and the 10-gallon hat. So thanks, everybody, for listening to 21st Century Learning, exploring the intersection of education and technology for June 18th, 2014. If you have questions or comments, please find us on Twitter, and we'll see you all in the fall.
Happy summer.
All right.